Okay, friends, it's finally here. Tariff Day, or as Donald Trump would call it, Liberation Day. Let's talk about it on the weekly update. Okay, friends, let's talk Liberation Day. Here's what you need to know. First up, today at 4 p.m., we will hear about Donald Trump's plans on tariffs. Now, a tremendous amount of ink has been spilled on this issue, and a lot of it doesn't seem very high quality to me. So let's start with the market because that is a high quality source. Here we have the 50-day in orange, green and red candles is the S&P 500, purple is the 200-day moving average, and what do you see? Well, we had our poke 3% below the 200-day moving average. We had a bounce, but this was an early bounce. This was before we really got into the tariff fight. And one of the things I mentioned was I said there's probably one last little panic moment right before we get to Liberation Day, and we certainly had that, and now we're kind of floating a little bit higher. What this tells me is the market is really waiting on details. There's been a tremendous amount of fire and fury and certainly opinion pieces, but most everything that's been written about the tariffs is really sort of lacking in economic rigor. The reality is we don't know because we don't know what the plans are. And even if we knew what the plans were, we really don't know what the effects are going to be either. And that's one of the most interesting things about this issue. If you look at 10 sources, you'll get 10 different narratives about what's going to happen. And so what that tells me is no one really knows. So I'm not surprised that we're here in a holding pattern on the market. This fits, if you remember, maybe from maybe a month ago now, I said, hey, I think we got to get to the back half of April before the market starts trading better. All of this, I think I've been pretty accurate with what I expected, what the twists and turns of the market would go. And I think that's really a testament to having lived through this one time before in the first Trump administration. So we're going to get tariffs today, and no one really knows what the plans are going to be. So I wanted to share with you my matrix for how I'm going to appraise these tariffs. And I'm going to be looking at it through a what, who, and when sort of framework. So first over here on the what side, what are we doing? Are these flat level tariffs across the board, 20% on everything coming into the country, or are these country specific tariffs? And what this will tell me whether Donald Trump is using this as sort of like an American sort of position, like, hey, we're going isolationist, or if they're country specific, and this is what I would expect to see, that would be maybe more of a, I want to use this as a bargaining chip or a negotiating tool with your country. So I'm expecting country specific, but certainly this distinction is going to give us some information about what Donald Trump is thinking. Who? Is this all nations, every trade partner that we have? Is this only the top 10 trade deficits? So this is going to be interesting. Again, all nations would be more of an isolationist American position. Only the top 10 tells us, hey, maybe this is about trade. Or if it's a subset of the top 10, then it might tell us, hey, this is actually about negotiation. This may not even be about trade at all. And then, of course, finally, when. Immediately, I think they're going immediately, but potentially delayed onset might say, hey, there's still room for negotiation here, but I want to get a deal done soon. So here's my matrix: what, who, when. These are the things that I'm going to be looking at. I'm probably not going to be reading too much about what reporters have to say because everybody has an axe to grind with this tariff issue. And because of that, I think a lot of the reportage has been pretty low quality. So this is what I'm looking at very dispassionately. My expectation is that we'll get country-specific tariffs. I think it's only going to be on the top 10 trade partners, and I think they happen immediately. So kind of right down the middle. So what does it all mean, Liberation Day? Well, today begins probably the largest news event since COVID. And if you've been following the channel for a while, you know I really don't like news events. I don't think they change too much. This one is a little different because it's so economically impactful. Now, we are not a trade-based society. We're a service economy. So I think the US is going to be fine whatever happens here, but I would be looking for some upset happening in some of those tariff or trade sort of related industries, stocks, etc. That's what I'd be looking for. So we got a big news event, but it's more than just news, it's economics as well. And that's the sort of thing that you got to pay attention to. There's been a tremendous amount of ink spilled on this issue. Much of it is of dubious quality. So I'm really not reading anybody. I'm going to look at Donald Trump's statement. I'm going to participate in the press conference, watch it, and make my own opinions. I don't think there's anyone that's a really good guide out there just yet. After reading numerous takes on this issue, it has become clear to me that no one really knows what's going to happen, and that's not surprising. But more importantly, no one really knows what the effects are going to be. So whatever tariff policy comes out, I don't think anybody has it right either, because most of the reportage that I've seen or reports on, hey, this is what the tariffs are going to do, many of them have omitted how the 2016 tariffs went. And for the most part, China really just ate those. So that's kind of like the upside. The positive is, at the time in 2016, it was thought that the tariffs were going to, upset the world and all the rest of this. It really didn't do any of that, right? It was kind of a nothing burger at the end. So I don't think anyone knows what's going to happen. That's not surprising to me. But I also think no matter what happens, I think people will be very quick to snap judge. And I don't think we actually know what the true effects are. So I'm going to be looking at this tariff announcement through a what, who, when framework to formulate my understanding. I'm going to be making my own opinions, and I would recommend you do the same. So there you go. That's the news review. I'll see you this weekend for the markets review. Take care. Okay, friends, that was the video. Hope you liked it. If you found it informative, good, entertaining, I'd love if you could scroll down here beneath the video and give me a like there. It helps us out with the algorithm. And then if you want to be notified first of anything new that we upload to the channel, if you come over here, click subscribe, you'll be the first to know as soon as we upload anything. Appreciate it. See you soon.